Hey everybody, welcome to a Friday night stream. I hope you all had an excellent week and are looking forward to the weekend. Maybe you're relaxing. Maybe you're not even here because you're actually enjoying your Friday night out with people. Hey Muffin. Wow, you're quick. Been streaming for 20 seconds and you're already here. Glad you got your internet taken care of. Alright, definitely need to randomize this. Okay. What am I doing again? I'm doing this. Let me see the rewards here. I need 550 points total. That's what I'm going to be going for. I don't know how long I'm going to be streaming for. I'm starting late. I was recording Pokemon Crystal. Just recorded a monster episode. And I wanted to keep doing something, but didn't want to record another one. So here I am. And actually, now that I don't have my Graceful, I have the farming outfit, I need to make sure that I drop all this junk. Because the weight could be an issue. What music do I like? I'm the worst person to talk to about music. I don't really know what music I like. I'm not a very big music person. I don't generally sit down and just listen to music for the sake of listening to music. So I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question. Like, I don't have like a favorite band or something like that. Sometimes I listen to stuff and I think, hey, that sounds pretty damn good. But I'll have no idea what the name of the song is or who the artist is. The point I'm trying to make is I'm very music illiterate. Not a good person to talk to about music. Like concerts, for example, never understood that. I don't understand how people go to like a concert and just stand around screaming or whatever. Definitely not my thing. Oh yeah, when I was like in middle school and high school, I did like the Blink-182 and Sum 41 songs. Those are pretty classic. I do enjoy those. I mean, I made it sound like I despise music. That's not the case at all. I like music. It's hard to put my musical taste into a box because I don't necessarily follow any one band in particular or something. I'm surprised people are still into Blink-182 and Sum 41, like people your age. Because I know you're significantly younger than me. Like you said, you're about to start high school. I would not imagine somebody your age would be into like Blink-182 and Sum 41. I feel like that's a thing that, or I felt like that was a thing that was just for, I guess, my generation, and now nobody really knows about it. But I guess that's not the case. Yeah, I like those. I guess other music that people would recognize. I like Red Hot Chili Peppers are pretty good. What else? I don't know what else. If you name stuff, I can probably tell you yay or nay. I like some of the old school rap. I'm not a fan of like modern hip hop and auto-tune stuff that's out today. But I like the old school stuff like Biggie Smalls and Nas and Tupac, of course. Listened to a little bit of Eminem in my day too. Wu-Tang Clan. All right, System of a Down, my friend, is my guilty, embarrassing band appreciation. I did really get into System of a Down when I was in high school. That's actually really funny that you say that because, like I told you, I generally don't sit around and just listen to music, but I swear, just like 2 days ago, for the first time in a long time, I was thinking about System of a Down and I put some of their music on in the background. Which was insane because I looked up a couple of their songs on YouTube to put it on, and a couple of them had over 1 billion views. Billion with a B, which is absolute insanity. I had no idea that band was... I knew people like System of a Down, obviously. I didn't know they were that insanely popular. Billion with a B, that's crazy. Yeah, Chop Suey and Toxicity, I think those were the 1 billion views songs. Aerial is always a classic. Hypnotize. In fact, since you brought up System of a Down, that is literally the one time I bought a music album. My one and only music album I actually bought physically at a store was Hypnotize from System of a Down. I got that on the day it came out. Had like the parental warning sticker on it. May contain bad language. I do not still have it, no. Good album, though, for sure. Yeah, you got good taste. You got good taste. Again, I was telling you that I'm not really that into music, and you start listing off some bands, and I'm like, you know, I like all of those actually. Blink 182, Sum 41, System of a Down. I enjoy all of those. Anima of the State. I don't really know too many of their albums, quite honestly with you. I know their songs. I couldn't tell you like what album they're from. And in fact, I actually don't know too many of their songs. I know like their 2 most popular songs, which is All the Small Things and Adam's Song. I like those 2 a lot. To be fully honest, I would struggle to name a third one. I think both of those are from that album you mentioned, though, if I'm not mistaken. I know the album cover. I don't know what it's called, but I can see the album cover in my head. It's like the sexy nurse with a glove. Yeah, you know, I might actually listen to the full album. Because like I said, I mean, I can only name 2 of their songs, which I listen to frequently. So it's kind of surprising that I never took the time to listen to their other stuff. In middle school, I guess I did get into Linkin Park for a little bit as well. I enjoyed some of their songs. I have not listened to anything by them in a long time, though. I do enjoy listening to a lot of classical stuff, which I know sounds kind of lame, but generally that's what I like to listen to. All the classics, you know, Tchaikovsky, Giuseppe Verdi, Beethoven, Bach probably being my favorite. Magic the Gathering. Are you working on Winter, Todd? Akatsuki, I'm very sorry, but I forgot. It was you, right, who told me that you just started a no-shop Ironman? Kind of like what I'm doing? I'm like 90% sure that was you. Yeah, okay, just making sure. Because there are a couple of other people who always come to the streams as well. Like Drasham, I couldn't remember if it was you or him that did it, but I was pretty sure it was you. So I guess you started off with the classic Iron Man first step of Winter, Todd. Hey Cam, hope you had a good week. Hope you're getting ready to enjoy the weekend. Muffin, I had no idea Blink 182 was still making music together. Is it like the original people? Because I know like all these other bands, it'll be weird. They'll like keep the name of the band, but every person completely changes, and like 30 years later the band is still making music, but it's totally new people, which makes no sense to me. Yeah, Akatsuki, it may not be iconic for very much longer. You know, with the changes to where the low HP won't matter as much, I would imagine a lot less people will be doing Winter Todd as their first stop as an Ironman. So you may be the last generation of Ironman that tackles Winter Todd as the first step on the adventure. I did see the trailer, Cam. Both of them, actually. There's the English version trailer, and apparently, well, not apparently, there is, because I saw it. There's the Japanese trailer, which is entirely different, actually. Alright, so at least a couple of people from the original band are still in there, Muffin. Muffin, a no-shop Ironman is not that bad. It just forces you to be creative at times, which is part of the fun. Yeah, Akatsuki, that's one of the reasons they actually mentioned that they introduced the change proposal, was because they feel like Winter Todd has boxed in everybody to the same first step. Yeah, I need to research construction more because I know there are so many benefits you can derive from player-owned housing that I'm not taking advantage of simply because I don't fully understand. So I do need to spend a few hours just reading the wiki on construction and all the stuff you can put in your house. I feel like that's a big part of an Ironman account. Oh, which animes are you watching? I've seen a few in my days. My favorite. All right, hold on. You guys know me a little bit by now, so I'll let you guess. Renaissance Gaming, all-time favorite anime. Who's got the guess? I don't know why I would expect anybody to guess this. It's not obvious, I guess, but... Nah, Muffin, you fit in here just fine. It's fun to have these discussions. You bring up things that I'm not as familiar with. I bring up things you're not as familiar with. We both learn. I don't know what FMA is, Akatsuki. I don't know if that stands for something in terms of... Oh, Full Metal Alchemist, of course, yeah. Full Metal Alchemist. Sad story about that one. I started watching Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I was loving it. Like, I was really, really liking it. And then I guess I got busy in life, so I stopped. And then by the time I was ready to get back into it, I had kind of forgotten everything that was going on, so I figured I would have to kind of start from the beginning. And I've been putting off doing that for a while, so... Kind of. I never finished it, never fully watched it, but I was really enjoying it while it lasted. And I have been meaning to get through it. Cowboy Bebop is not the right answer, although I do have very fond memories of watching that on TV as a kid. It would come on like late at night. I don't know what channel it would come on at. Was it Cartoon Network and like Toonami late at night? I don't remember. All right, one more guess and then I'll reveal the true answer. One Piece is a good guess as well. That's not it. I did watch One Piece for a while. I got, what, like a couple hundred episodes in? The true answer, and this is a very, very popular one, probably one of the most popular animes of all time, is Berserk. Now, the original Berserk, which was, what, like 23 episodes that came out in the 90s? Not all the remakes, not all the Netflix ones. The original Berserk from the 90s. Sensational anime. 10 out of 10. It only covers one saga from the manga, but it's a very self-contained story almost. Yeah, the manga starts out very differently, and quite honestly, if I picked up the manga and I just looked at the first page, Like if I was at a bookstore and I picked it up and I looked at the first page, I'd be like, yeah, this is not for me. This is weird. Yeah, I got so into Berserk that I actually went out and I got the manga for it. It's the one and only manga I've ever gotten. I was absolutely crushed when I found out the creator died. So disappointing. He died pretty young too. I think he was in his early 50s. Indeed, Cam. Akatsuki mentioned that he's gotten a chance to watch some anime now that his wife and kid are in bed, and then we got off on an anime topic. See, I made it all about myself. I'm sorry, Akatsuki, because I asked him originally, you know, which anime are you watching? And then I made everybody guess, like, my favorite anime, and I never got his answer. So what have you been watching, Akatsuki? Yeah, I don't know if you were muted when I said this, but Berserk is the only manga I've ever bought. I got hooked on it from the original 90s anime. Heavenly Delusion. I have not heard of that one. Most anime I've watched I've really enjoyed, but I'm certainly not like one of these hardcore fans that knows like all the animes by heart. I've seen like all the classic ones that everybody always talks about, right? I'm not like one of these super fans that has that one really unique anime that nobody's heard of that you're really into. I do not have the big special edition volumes, Cam. I actually prefer to get like just the classic original release versions of it. So I have like 47 of these tiny little booklets, I guess, from Dark Horse. A couple of, or not a couple, but a handful of them are still in the saran wrap because I haven't made it that far yet. But Akatsuki, I also enjoyed the more like mature, darker anime, I guess. The last one I watched at the recommendation of Danny, actually, that guy that comes in here and you talked about cloth diapers with, was, God, what was it called? How do I not remember what it was called? I think it's called Return to Neverland. Does that sound familiar? I don't want to say what it's about because it kind of sort of spoils a little bit. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it's called Return to Neverland. Frieren. I'll have to look into those. Because since I finished the last one I was watching, I've been meaning to pick up another anime. I like these smaller self-contained anime. Like that 1990s Berserk or Full Metal Alchemist, where there's like a beginning and an end, right? And it doesn't seem insurmountable. When you start talking about things like One Piece, where it's like, welcome to One Piece, episode 1984. And we don't know when the end is going to be. Maybe in 2 decades. It starts to get a little overwhelming. Of course, I say that, and my Lord of the Rings Online series is getting close to 1,000 episodes with no end in sight. But yeah, classic starter anime is Death Note, of course. Everybody who sees it likes it, and it's digestible in the sense that it's, what, only like 25 episodes or something? I also started and was really enjoying Attack on Titan, but that was another one where I got busy, had to stop. By the time I was ready to get back into it, it had been too long, so I kind of forgot what was going on and figured I'd have to restart it, so never did. I have a few of those animes where I started, was enjoying, had to leave, never came back. I tend to do that with a lot of things, actually, and unfortunately. Lots of abandoned projects. Interesting. Friar. You know what? I'm pulling out the notepad. Because I realized that we always talk about things in these streams, and you guys bring up things that I mean to look up, and then by the time the stream ends, I forgot everything we talked about. Or maybe not what we talked about, but I forget the titles associated with them. So I'm going to start writing stuff down that we talk about on stream, okay? Friar. Alright. That's written down. And then what was the name of the anime you're actually watching? Heavenly what now? I guess I can scroll up. Heavenly Delusions. Let me write that one down. Muffin, I did not forget Sly Cooper. I actually remember that one. And I did look it up after the stream, and it does look really fun. It's almost got like a Crash Bandicoot feel to it. I don't know if that's an appropriate comparison. Not that it's similar, just like the style, I guess. Felt a little similar, which is a good thing. Just has like that really fun, classic look and feel to it. Yeah, I pulled up somebody's 100% Let's Play of the first Sly Cooper, and I watched like 2 or 3 videos on it. And then I started getting a little too into it, so I had to quit. Because I was like, if I watch any more of this, I'll convince myself that this needs to be my next game that I record. There's too many things on the list that I've already promised people, so I gotta keep it manageable. I would never be a Doom speedrunner. Absolutely not. Too intense. I did think about speedrunning many times in the past. In fact, my first streaming experience was not Old School RuneScape. Several years ago, I convinced myself I was going to speedrun Ocarina of Time. So I did do a few streams of me doing a couple of Ocarina of Time speedruns. But that didn't pan out. It's too much of a commitment. I definitely put Sly Cooper on the massive list, Muffin. It's a massive list, though. And Sly Cooper is towards the bottom currently, but it's there. The list is ever shifting as well. I'll move things up and down depending on how I'm feeling. I did play the original Doom as a kid though. So maybe one day I'll at least do some videos on it, who knows. I think I've only ever played the original one. I've never played any of the newer Dooms. Back to the speedrunning thing though, I also did think about speedrunning Gauntlet Dark Legacy. There's like 2 people that speedrun that game, so it's obviously not like a, I guess, popular game, but I have so much fun with that game. I used to speedrun that game before speedrunning was a thing. Like when I was a kid, I decided that I wanted to have one of each character at max level. So I would essentially play through the game over and over again, trying to do it faster each time, getting each character to 99. So it's kind of like speedrunning by myself. And that was a lot of fun. Yeah, 2034 Doom. I never had Doom. He wasn't even my friend. I guess my dad's friend, his son, had Doom on his computer. And every once in a while, we would go to that guy's house for dinner with my family. And then the son would be playing Doom on the computer, and a couple of times I asked him if I could play. I was so little though, like I had no idea what was going on. What's your fire making at on your Ironman? Alright, enema of the state. After I do this round of crops, I'll write it down. You guys are giving me homework. It's like I feel responsible now. Like the next time I come to the stream, I feel like everybody's gonna ask me about all the things I wrote down and if I checked it out. I'll do my best. But yeah, I definitely looked up Sly Cooper from last time, but I know there were like so many other things that we talked about last time too that I said I was going to check out. I did not remember those. I just remembered Sly Cooper. In fact, I did not even remember the name Sly Cooper. I had to Google some stuff. I was Googling like an idiot, like game, raccoon, turtle, hippopotamus, stealth. Oh wow, 84 fire making already? You're making some pretty quick progress then. Because you didn't start that long ago. Yeah, dude, the memory struggles are real. I used to be sharp as a tack. Just too much information now. It's not so much memory, it's just my brain is like constantly prioritizing, I guess. I am very scatterbrained. I've always been very scatterbrained. That's why I worry about having a baby, Akatsuki. I know you're a proud dad, but I worry about having a baby because I could see myself forgetting my kid in the car. You know, you hear those like tragic stories about a parent that left their kid in a sweltering car. I could totally see that being me. Not because I'm a horrible person or I don't care. Or wouldn't love my kid. Just I'm so scatterbrained, dude. I'm totally scatterbrained. Or we don't have to go as dark as forgetting your kid in like the oven of a car. We could just say, you know, forget to pick him up from school. Let's just say that. I would totally be the one that forgets to pick up the kid at school. I want to say I'm too old to have kids. I would say I'm a little late though, Muffin. I'm a little late on the kids thing, but definitely not too late. Thankfully for guys, you know, you can push it off a little bit longer compared to women. Yeah, definitely need to buy a leash for the kiddo. Oh man, advice for high school. That was so long ago for me. You know, that's something that I haven't specifically thought about, but I really should because I feel like you could give some really good advice to people. I just haven't thought of something like very deep or philosophical to say yet. What I will say is that for me, high school was not like the best time in my life in the sense that I wasn't like a very popular kid. I didn't have too many friends. I mainly kind of stayed by myself. And while that sounds like a little sad, it was still like a really good time in my life, even if it didn't feel like it at the time. So I think what I would say is probably what you've heard a lot of other people say is that you should really do your best to enjoy it as much as you can and appreciate every day that you're there, even if it feels like things are kind of crummy. Because one day you'll look back towards high school and remember those days very fondly and perhaps wish you could experience it with the wisdom you have from the future. So I would say make the most of it. Definitely use it as an opportunity to make friendships, meet people. Try out a bunch of different things. Like one thing I regret from high school is not trying out more things like sports or clubs and activities and things like that. So maybe use your first year to try as much as you can and then figure out which one you like the best and stick with that one. and just enjoy it as a time where you don't really have, of course you have responsibilities, right, in terms of getting your grades right so that you can keep doors open for yourself in the future. If you want to pursue higher education, you have that sort of responsibility. But at the end of the day, you just have to show up to school and learn as much as you can. So just enjoy it, and also make sure you're working on things on the side as well that interest you. Besides just doing your schoolwork, use it as a time to explore things that you enjoy doing. I'm not a huge sports person, that's right, but I still think sports is important in terms of participating in it. I've actually done combat sports on and off my whole life. Done jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, boxing. If I could go back to high school and do it over, I would probably join the wrestling team. I'm definitely much more of like an individual sports kind of person as opposed to team sports. So maybe something like tennis or wrestling, like I said, swimming, I don't know. I guess the other piece of advice that I would give you is that you should definitely be yourself. In high school, there's a lot of pressure to fit in with a certain group of people. And while it can be easier to find friends in social circles if you do kind of portray yourself as something you're not, at the end of the day, it's not worth it. I think if you just stay true to yourself and act like yourself, you'll also find people that do the same. And then that way you'll have a much more meaningful experience. I don't know. I'm winging it here. I'm trying to come up with something deep, like I said, but I haven't really come up with very good advice to give people. The main thing for sure is just enjoy it and appreciate it. For sure, Akatsuki, there's so many benefits to sports. The camaraderie, the sportsmanship, teaches you to be consistent in something and work hard to see results. There's a lot of great lessons you can learn from sport. Humility, competitive spirit. I don't know, man. I feel like if you enjoy pop punk and Blink 182, that's like your average high school kid. At least that was the average high school kid when I went to high school. Like, those types of bands and music were super popular. You would have no trouble fitting in my high school class back in the day. Jazz punk. I don't even know if I know what that is, or what it might sound like. You know, Muffin, I don't really have any evidence to support this claim, but to me, it almost feels like the world is kind of turning back a little bit into the 90s almost. Like there's this reborn nostalgia for the 90s and early 2000s, it feels like. So I think a lot of the stuff that was popular back then is making a comeback. So you may be catching that wave, and I think you're going to be just fine with your interests. Punk with wind instruments. I guess that makes sense for jazz punk, right? I'm just struggling to try and play it in my head. Yeah, Muffin, I think people are getting tired of how quickly everything is progressing and advancing and how much technology is overtaking the world. So I do think a lot of people are kind of turning back to at least a relatively simpler time and simpler ideas. Again, I have no evidence to back this up whatsoever. It's just kind of a feeling I have observing things around me. I may be completely wrong on that. Oh my god, the bell bottoms. See, the thing with the bell bottoms, though, I feel like that was a very quick fad, you know? Like, they got super popular, but that did not last long at all. Kind of like the Beanie Babies. That was a very quick fad. I remember I was a very little kid when bell bottoms were huge. And then my cousin from Brazil came to visit us in the US. He was like the first person to come visit us after we moved. And he wanted to go to the mall and he bought himself bell bottoms. And I remember just feeling totally disappointed. I had never felt more disappointed in my life as a kid. I was like, I cannot believe my cousin, my own flesh and blood, is wearing bell bottoms. I can't believe this. It's an outrage. That's what I remember from the bell bottom phase. Yeah, I didn't know, like, how old was I? I don't know, 8 years old? I didn't know 8-year-olds were capable of feeling disappointment. I thought that was like a more mature emotion that kids don't necessarily feel. But I felt disappointed. Muffin, this is high school advice I can give you with full confidence. Don't ever wear bell bottoms to school, okay? Don't do that, or you're gonna have a bad time. My high school had so many rules, Muffin, that with shorts, they would come out with a ruler and measure your shorts. And if they were too short, you'd get in trouble. They couldn't be shorter than like 2 fingers above the knees or something, which I guess for guys wasn't that much of an issue just because guys generally wear longer shorts. But yeah, so many rules for like the dress code in high school. We had a no facial hair rule. I don't know if they still do that, but you were not allowed to have facial hair. And listen, sometimes you can't help it, okay? I grow facial hair very fast, so I would shave on a Monday, and like by Wednesday, I would look like a caveman. And if they thought you had too much facial hair, they would give you like a single blade razor with no shaving cream and make you go to the bathroom and shave, and you would come out like essentially with your face flayed. All the flesh just like ripped off from that dull razor. Oh no, Axe body spray? That's what all the high school kids wear. I remember in the PE locker room, like every boy had a can of Axe, and that thing was just getting sprayed everywhere. I'm surprised I didn't get lung cancer from being in a high school locker room with all that Axe spray in there. You're essentially just breathing in giant toxic fumes of Axe. Trying to think what event you're going to with some shorts and a Hawaiian shirt. Like a retirement party? Okay, I guess Axe is out now. It's no longer cool. No more Axe. I actually use do I use Axe? I think the deodorant I use is Axe, but it's the bar one. It's definitely not the spray. It's just like the soap bar looking deodorant. You can pull off the Hawaiian shirt. To me, there is nothing more annoying than when a woman tries to dress you up. I've had girlfriends try to pull that on me. And I get very, very oppositional when that happens. If they're like, why don't you wear this? Definitely don't wear your blah, blah, blah shirt. If they say that, you know I'm wearing the blah, blah, blah shirt. Sequel Saturdays, like my sequel? Don't worry, Muffin. You're way too young, man. I was a very, very late bloomer with the ladies. I did not have my first girlfriend until I finished high school, dude. So try not to worry about it too much. My first girlfriend was in college. I had zero success with the ladies in high school. If one of them even says hello to you during your high school experience, you'll have a leg up on me, sir. I had no idea how to talk to women in high school at all. It's not something I ever learned until after high school. I got to college. I was like, why is this such a struggle? And then I actually sat down and started thinking about it and figured out how to actually talk to women. So yeah, don't feel bad about it. You're young. Pretty soon they're going to be telling you what to wear, and they're going to be trying to dress you up. And you're going to be like, I miss those days where this was not a problem. Dude, did you really meet your wife off of the YouTube comments? That's hilarious. Yeah, most people meet online now. It's just the way it is. Personally, I refuse to get on a dating app. Just not for me. It's like I refuse to do it. And if you refuse to get on a dating app, you're such at a disadvantage nowadays. It's hard to go out there and meet women on the street just because a lot of them, I don't know, are immediately kind of skeptical if you just approach them out in the open like that. So you have to be extra good and extra careful if you're doing that. I don't know what's worse, a weeb video or a weed video. Either way, that's hilarious. That is a great How I Met Your Mother story. Honestly, Muffin, I guess that's another piece of advice I could give you. I have very non-traditional views on relationships. Like, I'm very old school, very traditional in terms of what I imagine relationships to be and what they should be. So my views differ very much from what most people view relationships as. But what I would say is, if I could go back in time, I would try to meet somebody very young in high school. Because if you meet somebody very young, you have the opportunity to grow up with them, and you get to grow up together and kind of develop together. As opposed to being an old guy like myself and you meet somebody, the both of you have already essentially had a whole youth. You've grown up, you've done all these things, you've experienced a lot of life, you've spent a lot of your youth already, and now you're just meeting that person. It's kind of different, right? It's not as like, I don't know what you call it. It's not as deep, it's not as romantic or something. So if I could, I would have liked to meet somebody as young as possible and had the opportunity to grow up with them, as opposed to grow up independently and then meet each other and try to force something. However, I'm definitely in the minority there. I think most people today have the sentiment of, you know, wanting to spend their youth dating around, meeting as many people as possible, and then settling down at some point. Which is fine, it's just not the way I see it. Oh, Akatsuki, I had no idea you were of Russian heritage. Yeah, honestly, I'm all for these, like, I don't want to use the term arranged marriage because that implies something completely different than what I'm thinking, but I kind of respect that traditional sense where your parents try to find you a good match, right? Because your parents know you well, they want the best for you, and they're going to obviously try to find somebody that is going to be really good. A lot of people used to meet like that, where either friends or family would set them up with somebody. Yeah, Muffin, I remember at least in a few occasions, there were girls flirting with me in high school, and I was so oblivious. Like, I had no idea whatsoever. And then, like, 10 years later, I think about it, and I'm like, oh my god, I was such an idiot. How did I not see that? But you'll figure it out. My biggest advice when it comes to women and I hope this doesn't come off the wrong way, is that they don't really know what they want. They think they do, and they'll tell you what they want, but deep down they want something else. So you kind of have to go off of what they actually respond to as opposed to what they tell you they respond to, if that makes sense. I mean, I'm not ugly, but I wouldn't say I'm like the best looking guy out there. My biggest physical downfall is that I'm pretty short. And you know, the first thing any girl ever tells you, it's like, what's your dream guy like? It's like, well, he's tall. I'm definitely not tall. Besides that, I would say I'm pretty decent, but looks actually don't have too much to do with it when it comes to women. I don't think, anyway. I think it helps, of course. It doesn't hurt, but you'll be alright. You'll definitely figure it out. High school is the time to figure this kind of stuff out. Just don't be afraid to try things. Yeah, I'm not saying us short guys can't get a wife. I'm just saying that I was using that as a point to say that it doesn't matter too much. Every woman has their taste, and it'll work out. Again, it goes back to what I said, Muffin. They'll tell you something. They'll tell you what they want, but they don't really know. They may want something completely different. They'll give you their paper criteria, and then they'll go off and date the guy that doesn't meet that criteria at all. So even if they're looking you in the eye and saying, I need a blonde, blue-eyed, 6-foot guy that plays basketball, they may not mean it at all. I still can't believe you met your wife on the YouTube comments. That's crazy. See, now I'm waiting for a honey to comment on one of my videos. Maybe it can happen for me too. Oh my gosh, Renaissance Gaming, I love your videos. Why don't you shoot me a DM sometimes? Do I have any advice to look good? I think that more than physically looking good, I think the best thing that you can do is just take good care of yourself, because not only will that help with women, but it'll also just help for yourself in general. So what I would say is try to get some exercise every day. Try to eat clean if you can. Be hygienic, of course, you know, take a shower, wear deodorant. And when you feel good by taking care of yourself, it also comes off in your personality, you know, like an almost unspoken vibe and presence that you give off that women find attractive. So what I would say is, yeah, just definitely take care of yourself the best you can. And that will naturally just make you a more attractive person. It's much less so like, you know, the clothes you wear, the cologne you put on or whatever. That stuff is all just minor. As long as you're putting effort into yourself and you're improving yourself every day, That's the most important part. You know what? You're asking the wrong dude, man. I haven't had the best success with women in my life, given by the fact that I'm single at my age. So maybe you should ask the dad here. He's actually won, you know. He won the game. He's got a wife and 2 kids. I'm actually the worst person to go to for girl advice. Yeah, you definitely got good RNG, Akatsuki. Yeah, Muffin, you gotta worry about that too, especially online. It's like, who's a bot now? Nobody knows. If it's too good to be true, it is. That's my general rule of thumb. Honestly, I'm surprised you responded, Akatsuki. If some girl did what your wife did to you, to me, I'd be like, that's a bot. There's no way that's real. It's just some bot trying to sell me something. I don't know. Trying to steal my password. You can never trust these things nowadays. Yeah, Muffin, the thing with junk food and not taking the best care of yourself when you're young at your age, it doesn't affect you as much when you're young. I know it sounds crazy, but when you're young, you can eat absolute garbage, get like no sleep, not exercise, and your body just like bounces back like nothing happened. But as you get older, that stuff really starts to affect you. So you see a lot of people that, you know, they had bad habits and it was never an issue, but then as they get older, it starts to affect them. So I would definitely recommend, especially while you're young, to try and set up some good habits. Try to decrease the junk food, try to eat a little cleaner, try to get into a habit of exercising, even if it's just a little something every day. Just a few pull-ups and push-ups. Just get in the habit. It'll pay off when you're older. That's cool, Akatsuki. You know, Danny met his wife the same way. They have an interesting story. Me and Danny used to play this really goofy game back in the day called Sissy Fight, which is just as silly as it sounds. And we definitely used to troll people on there. And one of those people ended up being his future wife. Like 2 decades later. They basically met on there and they were chatting for... They had essentially like an online relationship for like 20 years. And then eventually she went over and they got married. Honestly, Muffin, I don't know. I don't know how many teenagers like your age really work out seriously. If I could go back in time, I would definitely take exercising more seriously in high school. I really didn't do much at all in high school. But yeah, I mean, you're still growing, right? You're 14, so you're still growing. It's the perfect time for you to exercise because that way you'll kind of grow into it, if that makes sense. Your body will develop differently if you're exercising as opposed to if you're not. So you can improve your potential by exercising while you're young. Yeah, Muffin, that's why I don't like to try and have an online relationship. That's why I don't do any of the dating apps or anything like that. I just try to talk to women like out in the street, which can be difficult just because not many of them are approachable, right? Like, not many cute girls go out by themselves and make themselves approachable. They're usually like surrounded by a gaggle of their friends. So it's kind of hard. It's not kind of hard. It is much more difficult to meet women that way, but I kind of prefer it. Yeah, online dating, I think, has completely ruined the relationship market. It's just so much more difficult now because of it. Just because people have so many options, and that kind of ruins things because it kind of makes people very replaceable, right? So maybe you meet a nice girl and you're having a good time together, and then one day she's just not having as much fun with you anymore. And while normally you two would kind of work through that, nowadays it's so much easier for her to just, go on Tinder and get a replacement in 5 minutes. Like, oh yeah, let me upgrade to somebody else because I'm just not feeling it anymore. Everybody's just so replaceable now. Yeah, Akatsuki, I don't know how to raise a kid nowadays in today's world. It's so different than when we grew up. I feel like such a boomer, dude. Like, I cannot relate to the newer generation at all just because life is so different now. I always thought I'd be the person that would always like understand the young generation, but I'm very quickly realizing that we just grew up in a totally different time, and their experience today is just so unimaginably different than what we went through. For example, Muffin, think about it. I went through high school without a cell phone. See, Skibbity Toilet I get. I get some things, but I just can't imagine like what high school is like nowadays. It must be so weird with social media and all that. I mean, Facebook just barely started popping off when I was going through. Like, most of my high school career was MySpace, which was pretty mild. Akatsuki, I think it goes back to what I was talking about earlier, where I do think there is this sentiment growing in the population to a return to simplicity, which, like I said multiple times, I have no evidence for. It's just something I think. So I do think we're going to see a swing back the other way, a little bit of a shunning of all this crazy modern technology just for a return to something a little bit more organic. Not saying it's ever going to be like the way it was for us, but I do think that people are kind of craving something a little bit more real. Yeah, Muffin, you're going to go through a lot in high school, but just remember that at the end of the day, you're going to be all right. Even if it sucks at the moment, you're actually going to look back at that moment with great fondness. You're going to have your heart broken. It's part of life. I say you cannot become a man until you've had your heart broken. It's just a prerequisite. So it will happen, but you're going to be all right. You'll enjoy everything. If anything, just be excited about starting high school. It's going to be a great time in your life. It's going to have challenges, but it's going to be a very good growing opportunity for you. You're going to learn a lot. Not just in terms of like your classes and academics, but you're going to learn a lot about yourself and just life in general. How to deal with people. It'll be good. Not to sound like a parent, but one of the more important things is stay away from the nasty stuff, right? Like don't do drugs. Don't become addicted to alcohol. That stuff will ruin your life. Don't get in trouble with the law. Just be a good kid and you'll come out all right. Really? Kids don't throw parties anymore nowadays? I'd be a giant hypocrite, Akatsuki. I guess I can say that. Try to at least moderate your video game addiction, Muffin, during high school. I was definitely addicted to video games during high school. I spent a majority of my high school years playing video games instead of going to parties. And if I could go back and kind of do it over again, I would definitely tone it down. Wouldn't say just not play any video games, but I would definitely tone it down a lot. It's very easy to get addicted to these things. Yeah, I mean, obviously video games is a giant part of my life. I mean, I have a gaming channel that's been alive for over 10 years, but I'm constantly trying to moderate myself a little more. Right now, I'm kind of binging. Like, these last few weeks, I've been playing way more than I should. That's for sure. Life is a constant struggle of just trying to do a little bit better every day. To be fair to myself, though, sometimes my video game addiction prevents me from going out there and creating opportunities, but I've never passed up an opportunity to stay at home and play video games, right? So if I've had friends invite me out or something, I've never told them like, nah, I'm gonna stay home and play video games instead. Like, I'll always do things and not use video games as an excuse. Yeah, it does feel harder to have those relationships nowadays. Out in the real world, which I hate that term. I hate saying the real world as opposed to what, like a virtual world? I don't know. But yeah, I feel like everybody's much more individualistic and kind of focused on their own little internet bubble. I'm guilty of it myself. Not saying I'm perfect. Oh yeah, Katsuki, I think you told me about your Albion friend. That is cool. I love those stories. I love the stories of like these two nerds that played an MMO for years and then they finally meet each other in real life and they're just broing out. I like those stories. You also hear a lot of stories about husband and wives who met in an MMO. There's so many like World of Warcraft couples out there. And then of course the classic meme in RuneScape is the buying GF meme. Go stand outside Lumbridge and buy a GF. Oh, that's wild, dude. I bet like greasy nerds were literally getting married just so they could get the unique items. I could see that happening. Back in my original kinship in Lord of the Rings Online, there were a couple of people in that kinship that ended up getting married. Nah, dude, you can't do like boy-girl roommates in college. What kind of college are you going to? That's crazy. She was not a roommate. However, we did meet in the dorm. They had like the girl side and the boy side, but there was like a communal kitchen. And one day I was in the communal kitchen cooking and she walked in and just hit her up, started chatting. She moved in within a week, bro. I would sneak her into my dorm room because she wasn't allowed on the boy side, but I would sneak her in and out every day. You gotta be careful with the ladies because they can ruin things for you too. Like in college, I had a 4.0 GPA in college up until I met her, and then I got a little bit obsessed with hanging out with her, and my grades slipped a little bit. Nah, you don't need to be a master chef. I don't know how my cooking is. Like, I cook for myself. I like what I cook. I don't know if other people would. There's definitely truth to the whole just be yourself thing, but there's definitely like the right and wrong way to talk to women, especially if you're trying to get them interested in you. It's funny because I was very naive when I was young, in terms of women. I guess I watch like too many Disney movies or something. I thought it was just something that magically happened. Like, oh, you have a crush on somebody and they have a crush on you too, just out of nowhere, like magic. Doesn't really work like that. It's funny that you ask about how I met Zoe, because prior to that I had zero experience. I had no idea what the hell was going on. And then the summer before I met her, I actually spent some time thinking about and learning how to actually talk to women. And then that semester in college, I started applying what I learned. And like within a week, that's when I met Zoe and everything worked out. So there's definitely like a technique to it, I guess. Not that you're being disingenuous or not being yourself, but you're more deliberate with how you talk to a woman that you're trying to get interested in you. Learning? How did I do that? I read some books and I watched some YouTube videos. Nowadays, it's probably, I don't know, there's probably a lot of garbage out there nowadays. You know, like how to talk to a woman. I bet there's a lot of garbage information out there. But I really needed just some very basic guidance. Like I said, I was very stupid and very naive when it came to this stuff. Like, think of the most cringy, awkward way you could ever approach a woman, and that was me expecting it to work. I just needed somebody to like slap me and tell me, no dude, that's not how this works. And then I was like, okay, I get it now. I'm being a cringe lord. I had no idea. That would be pretty cringy and awkward. I probably wasn't too far from being that absurd. I think my main problem when I was young and I had no idea what the hell was going on or what I was doing was that I was like just way too much, way too quick, right? So I would just go up to a girl that I was interested in and essentially confess my undying love and how I was madly in love or something like that, which is, you do not want to do that. That is just way too much, and there's no quicker way to get a woman to run away. Hey Kinowino, welcome in. Yeah, I don't know what happened, but I guess YouTube started at least a little bit, just a little bit, feeding that Pokemon playthrough to the algorithm. Because for about a year, nobody was watching that, and then more recently, it's been getting like a few hundred views per episode, which is, I know it's not that much, but for my channel, it's pretty significant. So I'm glad you enjoyed that playthrough. I'm proud of that one. I worked hard on that one. I was pleased with how it turned out. And I'm currently in the process of recording Pokemon Crystal. So if you enjoyed that playthrough, I do have Crystal hopefully coming out in the near future, near to medium future. Having a lot of fun recording Crystal. Yeah, you kind of have the right idea, Muffin. I think probably the best thing is to just say something situational, right? Yeah, Kino Wino, the Pokemon Red, there's a lot of 100% playthroughs of that, but I always found that all of them were kind of cheap in the sense that they would do a lot of editing. So they wouldn't really show everything. Like all the different Pokemon that you catch that are version exclusive, they would never show themselves actually catching. They would just have like a 30-second montage. Okay, guys, I caught these Pokemon and I traded them over. So I wanted to do something a little bit more comprehensive when I did that Let's Play, where I actually showed everything from start to finish. I was happy with how it turned out for sure. Taking a very similar approach with Pokemon Crystal. Honestly, Muffin, what you say doesn't matter too much. The initial thing, that is. The main point of a quote-unquote pickup line is just to be able to get a conversation started. There's no, like, magic line that's going to make a woman fall in love with you or anything stupid like that. It's just a quote-unquote pickup line is just something to get a conversation started so then you can start talking with somebody. Alright, Kinoino, thanks for stopping by. Glad you're enjoying that playthrough. Have fun. It's nice to meet you as well. No worries, I'm just relaxing. Just playing some RuneScape. Yeah, I definitely take a look at who's who, or at least I try to. It is not sacrilege, Akatsuki. It's funny you say that because I was kind of having similar thoughts in the sense that I was thinking maybe I should go back to Brazil for a while and find a waifu down there and bring her back. Brazilian girls are very different than American girls. I think dating in America is hard. I think American girls have, I don't know how to explain it. It's definitely a different dating culture. I don't necessarily want to say they have higher standards. That's not really, it's not really what I'm trying to say. I just think they have different goals with a relationship, right? I don't think they view a relationship as important relative to other areas of their life. Whereas South American women give more credence to a relationship and view a relationship as more important than other things. I guess to simplify it, the relative interest of the career to relationship ratio of an American woman is a lot higher than like a South American woman. Therefore, I think a Brazilian girl is willing to work harder at a relationship than an American girl who might be more willing to give up and try again with somebody else if things aren't going perfect. I hope that makes sense. Muffin, I am getting a little tired, but not tired enough to consider stopping. Just feeling a little mellow. It's kind of late. Oh yeah, it is late. My god, it's 10:42. Okay. I'm still having a good time though. Well, the reason I brought up Brazil, I know Brazil has like a reputation for having like the best women, but the reason I brought up Brazil is because that's originally where I grew up. Like that's where I was born, and I go back to visit family often, so that's why I said I thought maybe go to Brazil to find a waifu, because I go to Brazil pretty often. I think about proportions when people ask like, oh, what country has the most beautiful women in the world? I don't necessarily think of like the most beautiful woman, you know, what is the nationality? I think in terms of proportions. So I think if you go to Brazil, for example, a higher percentage of women are super attractive compared to in the United States. Not necessarily that Brazilian girls are more attractive, it's just that there are more of them. Yeah, who knows? Maybe I'll be living in Brazil 15 years from now, Akatsuki. It's definitely a possible retirement plan for me because it's just so much cheaper and more affordable there. If I save up a bunch of dollars and move to Brazil, I'll be living pretty comfortably. Oh my god, Muffin, that was absolutely me. When I was your age during summers, I would completely inverse my days. I'd stay up all night and sleep all day. If I let like my natural cycle dictate it for me, I would probably go to bed at like 4 or 5 in the morning and sleep till like 10 a.m. That's like my natural pattern. Of course, I have to force myself out of it. Your parents don't care? They stay up late? My parents used to give me so much grief. I'd have to be super quiet to not wake them up, and also to listen to hear if they were coming to check on me. So I could like turn off the monitor and run into the bed real quick. So if they open the door, they like, oh yeah, he is sleeping. Live in hospice? You mean like a retirement home? Hospice is where you go when you're ready to die. Like when a patient goes on hospice, it means that they have a terminal illness and they've decided to stop treating it. I hope your neighbors are not going to hospice. That would be sad. Yeah, retirement home sounds more reasonable. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely harder today, right? Like, the boomers, for example, I think they're fine. Back in their day, they could afford a beautiful home on a single salary. And now the home that they bought for like $100,000 is worth $2 million. So they're fine. It's more like our generation that got kind of screwed over, right? Like, housing is so unaffordable. Yeah, I guess we've all had that experience of staying up late and trying to hide from our parents so they don't know. It's a movie and a book, Muffin. All the great books get made into a movie. Hey, Siladon, welcome in. We're having all sorts of crazy discussions tonight. Talking about high school. Talking about women. Talking about retirement and hospice care. Music. That's not a bad summoning, Akatsuki. Thanks for stopping by. Hope you enjoy it. Gonna watch what? Heavenly Delusions? Yeah, Suladown, we were discussing relationships, I guess. Our friend Muffin here is starting high school, and he was asking about meeting women. Do you have any siblings, Muffin? Do you have like an older brother? That's like the classic person to go to for this kind of stuff. The older brother. And yeah, we were talking about some anime as well. Alright, so I guess you have sisters? Don't ask them for relationship advice. They'll just confuse you, dude. Don't ask a girl for girl advice. You never wanted a brother? I remember wanting a brother when I was little. I distinctly remember asking my mother if we could go to the supermarket so we could buy a brother. I was very young, clearly. Did not understand how the whole brother thing worked. I thought you could just get one at the supermarket. I guess in some part of the world you probably can, which is messed up to think about. Man, Suladon, there are some places in the world where you don't even have to pay for one, which is even more messed up to think about. Like I think there are some tribes in Central Asia where one of the things they do is they kidnap their wife. So they go like to the neighboring village and they just scoop up a chick, throw her in a sack, and bring her back home. Messed up. I forgot where that is, like somewhere in Uzbekistan or something. Are mail order brides still a thing? I remember that was a thing for a while when I was growing up. Like there were websites where you could buy a wife from like Russia or Thailand or something. She'd get a green card out of it and you would get a wife. At least until her green card came in, then she probably left you. I don't know if I'd call it the old generation version of OnlyFans, but I guess it's not a thing anymore. But like in the early 2000s, there were websites that was basically like a matchmaking website where an American guy would, quote unquote, buy an attractive bride from some other country, usually Russia or Thailand. And it was like an agreement where I guess the guy got a wife, and because he married her, she would be eligible for a green card in the United States. So that's what she would get out of that exchange. The guy would get a wife, and the woman would get a green card to America, and a way to escape poverty in their host country, I guess. Yeah, those seems like Thailand, Japan, Dubai. Those seems like good tourist destinations for sure. I'd like to visit as well. That is true, Suladon. There's a lot of that in Thailand. They were the originals with that. Yeah, I don't know how expensive it is out in Dubai. I had the opportunity to visit and I never took it, which is unfortunate. My parents actually ended up living in Saudi Arabia for 3 years. And they would go to places like Dubai and Bahrain and some of these other more touristy spots in the Middle East. They invited me on a couple of occasions, but I never went, which I kind of regret. I was very busy at the time. It was kind of hard to get away and go, but I should have tried to go when I had the opportunity. You know, Suladon, I don't know if there's any truth to this rumor, but I heard that they're at least somewhat respectful in Thailand in the sense that they'll make it very clear what they are. They're not gonna try to trick you. Like, I don't think it's a surprise most of the time. I think everybody knows what they're getting into. Nobody's trying to hide anything. That's just kind of what I've seen on the internet. Oh my god, I'm losing all my crops. I mean, there's like a whole tourist industry revolved just around that in Thailand. So yeah, you're absolutely right. There's lots of... I've gone down some like documentary rabbit holes in YouTube's on that topic. There's some interesting stuff. You start looking up Muay Thai fights in Thailand, and then you get to like cool Muay Thai gyms in Thailand, in Phuket, and then you transition to like tourism in Thailand. Next thing you know, you're watching documentaries on these sorts of things. That's the problem with these rabbit holes, man. You start somewhere and you end up somewhere you had no interest in being in. Yeah, I have been to a bunch of states. I would have to kind of think through the ones I've been through. The ones I've lived in New Jersey. I've lived in Texas, but I've lived like all over Texas. I've lived in California, and I've lived in Virginia. In terms of visiting, let's see. Been to New Jersey, I've been to New York, Pennsylvania, New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, Florida, Oregon, Washington, where else? Been to Hawaii, Arkansas, Tennessee. I've been to a lot of states. I'm a big fan of road trips. I love just getting in the car and just driving and stopping places. Yeah, Texas is not so bad. Texas is starting to get bad in terms of rent and housing. But historically, it's been pretty decent. But the other places, yeah, kind of outrageous. Like the rent in California and Virginia, outrageous. I've been to DC, which it's kind of like a state, I guess. It's like sandwiched between Maryland and Virginia, but District of Columbia is kind of its own thing. Guess I've been to Maryland as well, if we're going to count that. You're probably thinking West Virginia. West Virginia is very rural, and kind of like out in the middle of nowhere, kind of the boonies. But Virginia itself is very posh. Like Northern Virginia is like the suburbs of Washington, D.C. That's like where all the rich people live. Like the lobbyists and politicians and stuff like that. Oh yeah, North Carolina is neighbors with Virginia, right? Unless I'm getting my geography mixed up. I've heard great things about North Carolina. I've driven through North Carolina. I've never really, like, stopped there. But I've driven through. I heard it's nice. I've only heard good things about North Carolina. Yeah, I heard South Carolina has some spectacular beaches. Man, I guess the chat today is 66% North Carolina. 2 out of 3, huh? I've been to Louisiana as well. I took a trip to New Orleans. Forgot about that. Yeah, I took a trip to New Orleans. Super fun, totally outrageous. I stayed at this hotel. I forgot the name of it, but when I got home from that trip, like that same weekend, I was flipping through the channels, and there was an episode of Forensic Files or something, like one of these true crime shows, about somebody that got murdered in that hotel that I stayed at that very, like, weekend, or the week before that I saw that show. I was like, no way. No way I just went to New Orleans, stayed at this hotel, and I come home, and there's like a murder documentary. Anyway, that's my memory from Louisiana. That and some crawfish. Crawfish. Very nice. It just depends what you like, Muffin. I mean, that's the great thing about the United States is there's so much variety in the States. Like, there's everything, you know, there's desert, there's mountain, there's beaches, there's city and suburbs and countryside. There's a little bit of everything. Oh, of course, I've been to Nevada, I've been to Las Vegas a few times. I don't know, the more I think about it, the more states I can probably remember going to. Colorado, I've been to Colorado. Beautiful state as well. I need to hit up, like, all the northern states. I haven't checked out too many of those. North Dakota and Wyoming and Michigan and all those. Montana. Need to go up to those parts. I guess I am getting tired. Like, I'm struggling with the timing here. I'm letting it... Man, Look at all these crops dying. I guess it doesn't feel like I'm tired, but clearly my reaction time has significantly decreased since I started the stream. Yeah, you're thinking boats with Louisiana because Louisiana is very swampy. Like southern Louisiana is very swampy. I mean, New Orleans is basically built in a swamp. I mean, California is super classic. You know, when you think of like old school America, you think of like the beautiful California beaches, and like visually California is just a spectacular, beautiful state. Wineries in the north, beaches in the south, mountains, perfect weather, beautiful ancient forests, the redwoods. Sensational state. However, not to get a little too charged here in the chat, there's a lot of problems with California currently. One of them is pricing. It is extremely expensive to live there, like Suladon said. Although, I will push back on something that you said. Some of the rural parts of California are actually fairly affordable. You're right that in general, it's like super, super expensive, even some of the rural areas, but there are certain parts, especially like rural Northern California, where it can be pretty affordable. But it really is like those areas like out in the middle of nowhere where it's affordable for a reason, right? Because nobody wants to be that isolated and out there. Sorry, had to look away here for a second. Yeah, I kind of fluctuate a lot about what I like. Sometimes I'm in the mood for a big city. Other times I just want to get away from everything and be out in the middle of nowhere. Other times I just want to chill in the suburbs. I'm always changing my mind. There's advantages to everything, but I definitely get your craving to be in a city. There's something super nice about being somewhere that's walkable, where you don't have to get in a car for everything, where you can just walk to, like you said, a corner store or the grocery store or a restaurant or something. That's very enjoyable. Yeah, the thing with the suburbs is it's very cookie cutter, right? Sometimes it feels like you go to one suburb in one state and you go to another suburb in a totally different state and it's like the same thing. It's a little uninspiring. It's like, how many strip malls with a Best Buy and an Applebee's do you need? Well, the suburbs definitely make for like a peaceful life. Very calm, predictable, peaceful in general. But yeah, as you get a little bit older, you know, once you finish high school and you get into college, that's definitely the time to explore different things and see what you like. I've kind of tried a little bit of everything in terms of living style. Like, I've been out in the middle of nowhere. I've been in a city. I've been in the suburbs. And like I said, I don't really have a preference. My preference just depends on the day, right? I very much enjoy aspects of the city. I enjoy aspects of being removed from society, out in nature. And I certainly appreciate the tranquility and just ease of the suburbs. Yeah, the whole college proposition is certainly a lot more different today than it was when I was going through it. I would agree that it has lost a lot of its value. I think it really depends what you want to do with your life, right? If you want to be like an engineer or a doctor or a lawyer, something like that, you got to go to college. There's no way around it. If you want to do something a little bit less structured, like, I don't know, marketing or something, you could probably get away with not going to college and just learn marketing and do it, as opposed to, you know, paying $200,000 for a degree in marketing or something like that. At least when I was going through college in my generation, which I say that like I'm super old, it wasn't that long ago, but like when I was going through high school, it was almost like people were going to college just because, like, that's the next step. Like, oh yeah, just go to college. But nowadays, I would really say that figure out what you want to do, and if going to college makes sense for that, then absolutely. If it doesn't really make sense for it, save the money, save the time. Like I said, if you want to be like an engineer or a doctor, you're going to have to go to college. No way around it. If you want to be like a history major, I probably would not go to college. I would get a good reading list and read books and educate yourself and save the money. Just depends what you want to do. Yeah, Muffin, I think a lot of the really nice restaurants and stuff like that, they do want people who have had formal training. My mom actually went to culinary school. I mean, cooking, you can definitely learn on your own without going to school for it, but depending on what you want to do with cooking, I think having formal education can open up some doors for you. You just kind of have to have a plan with it. See, the big myth about college, and it's kind of a harsh reality, but the truth is, the more people that go to college, the less valuable it becomes. Because when everybody has a degree, it doesn't really mean much. So whenever like politicians and people are talking about like how everybody has to go to college and we're going to make sure everybody gets to do it, it essentially means that it loses its value, right? The truth of life, unfortunately, is that life is competitive. And it used to be that a college degree used to set you apart, whereas nowadays it's just such a given thing that like everybody gets or whatever, that it loses its value. And then the students end up paying the cost, right? Because you paid all this money for an education, and now you thought that your college degree was a golden ticket to a good paying job, and that's just not the case anymore. Not necessarily. It can be, but it's not a given like it once was. Like if you had a college degree in the 1950s or something, yeah, you're going to have like a guaranteed good paying job. Not today though. It has turned into a scam almost, right? Because the federal government gives you loans to go to college. No matter what, you can get a loan to go to college. And so what did the colleges do? They're like, well, if the government's going to give everybody a loan to go to college, we're going to hike up our prices because the government will pay for it. So then you have these colleges charging an outrageous amount of money just because the government is essentially paying people to go to college. And then you have a death spiral where schools charge more and more people take advantage of it because somebody else is paying for it. And then they get themselves into these gigantic student debt that they can't pay back. And the school made their money, the government's making their interest money. The only people who got screwed over are those students that were given false promises. That's why I tell anybody right now that asks about college and stuff like that, that yes, it can still be a good thing, but you really need to know what you're doing with it. Don't go to college just because. Go to college with a purpose. And yeah, that's it. Gone are the days of the whole like, well, I don't know what I want to major in. I think I'm just going to do my prereq classes and I'll figure it out later. If you're in that boat, don't do it. Don't do it. You're going to get burdened down with debt. But if you're like one of these people that are like, you know, ever since I was 5 years old, I knew I wanted to be an architect, then go to college and be an architect. Yeah, like for creative stuff, I don't see the point of going to college for something creative, like music or something, or art. That does not make sense. Yeah, you learn a lot of stuff like music theory and you do classes and all that, but you can learn all that online. Absolutely, and nobody's going to ask you for a degree when you're doing something creative, you know? The only thing you should go to college for are things that actually require that piece of paper. You cannot practice medicine without a medical license. You cannot have a medical license without a medical degree. You can't be an engineer without an engineering thing or whatever. But you can definitely play guitar without a college degree. And you can definitely write essays on English literature without a degree. And you can be a historian without a degree. So I think that's the number one filtering question. If you decide you want to do something, you should ask yourself, can I do this without a degree? If the answer is yes, you should seriously consider skipping the college thing. See, drawing is something that you can learn by yourself as well. You could get some books. There are YouTube courses. There may even be a little bit more premium, like paid courses where you may pay like $50 and get a repository of like 50 lesson videos or something. And you could learn something like that without having to go to college for. And art school is kind of weird. I don't know exactly how it works, but to me, it seems like you have to, from what I've seen, I think you have to like apply for art school. So you kind of already have to be good at art before an art college will take you as a student, which is kind of weird. Same for like music. If you want to go to music school, you have to like be good at it already. I majored in biology, and I have minors in chemistry and history. And this whole YouTube thing is not my job, dude. Not at all. This is literally just a hobby. I don't make any money on this at all. I mean, at all is a lie. I get a little bit of ad money, but I definitely don't make enough to pay for anything. Might get like a restaurant meal a month or something. It is just a hobby. I do it for fun. I am definitely not a history teacher. I actually don't like to talk about what I do for a living on the channel. I've talked about it before in like some of my older videos. But I don't know. I like to keep work and play separate, if that makes sense. What I will say is that I didn't just stop with college. I did do more education after undergraduate. So I do something a little bit more specialized. Yeah, I'm happy with my job. It's not like the most exhilarating thing in the world, but I like it. Pays the bills, doesn't make me miserable. Can't complain. Yeah, I have a hard time staying still. I don't know why. I'm programmed to where it's like every 3 years or something I need a big drastic change. I've moved way more than 5 times. Like I would have to sit and think about how many times I've moved in the last decade. pretty much all of my moves require changing, I guess, what I was doing, either education or my work. I do not work from home. I did for a little bit, just a little bit. Like during my last move, I was off for a few months and I tried to do some online stuff. But no, I work in person. So yeah, I've changed jobs frequently. Always doing kind of the same thing, but for different places. Honestly, like I said, I did try some work from home stuff for a little while, and as with anything, there are advantages and disadvantages. Obviously, the advantage being that it's super flexible. You can kind of do whatever you want, work as little or as much as you want. But I know this is going to sound really silly. The disadvantage is that I found it very hard to self-motivate myself to get up and actually do the work from home. I know that sounds really stupid, but I found it very difficult to just get up and do stuff when you're sitting at home. If you don't have to like physically be somewhere and be at work, it's very easy to just be like, I'm just gonna like not do anything today. I'm gonna record some videos for Renaissance Gaming. Gonna go outside and enjoy the sun. I'll work tomorrow. It's fine. It doesn't matter. So I found that for me personally, it was very difficult to stay disciplined and actually work. So I prefer to just do it in person. Actually have to get up and go somewhere and be somewhere. Plus the social aspect of it is nice too, right? You're going to be around people, you're going to get to talk to people, you're going to get to meet people. As opposed to just being stuck behind your computer screen all day, which is essentially what I do when I get home. You know, if I really dig down and try to think about bad coworker stories, I'm sure that I could think of some, but I try hard to be like a good person to work with in the sense that I try to be friendly with everybody. If somebody's having a bad day, I try to help them out. Sometimes I'll bring in like snacks and food for the office. So I try to be like a good coworker, and I think in general that kind of inspires an environment around you to where it's just a nice work environment. So in general, everybody I work with is very pleasant. And that's always been the case. I don't really have any horror stories from terrible work experiences. Any stories in general? I got plenty of stories, but when you put me on the spot like that, it's kind of hard to think of one that's worth sharing. It's kind of slow. I'm trying to get 250 or 550 points, and I've only been able to get like 200 in a 2.5 hour stream. That's crazy. That means I probably have at least like another 2.5 hour stream before I can finish farming Tithe and go back to Winter Todd. Did not anticipate doing this mini game for this long. I don't know how much longer I'll stream for. I don't really have a plan. I think at one point I'm just going to say enough. But I'm still going. Still having fun. I should be recording Pokemon though. I need to finish that series so I can start uploading it and move on to another game. I've been getting a craving to play Diablo 2 and record that. I know I've mentioned this before in some videos or streams, but I had started Diablo 2 a while back. I was a good like 15 videos into it or something. And then I had a hard drive failure, lost all the videos, didn't have it in me to restart, so I never did. But maybe the time is right now, because I've been getting the craving. But I do need to finish Pokemon before I start anything else. I've been trying to limit my RuneScape to maybe just like once or twice a week, but clearly I've been playing more than that. Been doing more like 2 to 3 times a week. Yeah, I kind of struggle with directing my energy, honestly. Sometimes I feel like a little manic even. Like there's all these things I want to do, all these projects I want to work on, and I just can't like focus on them or get them done. Like the whole Renaissance gaming thing, that's one thing. And within Renaissance gaming, there's like all these things I want to do, right? Like there's all these games I want to play. And then outside of the gaming channel, there's all these other projects I want to work on as well. I just have a very hard time being consistent with those, and I don't know, directing my energy. Like I have these writing projects I want to work on, there are books I want to read, fitness goals, traveling goals, all sorts of stuff. Hobbies that I want to pick up. Like you, I've always wanted to try and learn how to draw. So I've done that on and off. Recently, I was like on an animation kick. Like I was really wanting to do like an animation project. And I got pretty deep into that, and then I abandoned it. I don't know, man. I gotta figure this out in terms of focusing myself a bit. I mean, I definitely enjoy the video games the most. I mean, I have to be honest with myself as well, in that the gaming hobby is the easiest one, right? Because I don't have to tell you this, but video games are fun. They're just so enjoyable and relaxing, and you can just sit back and play Whereas some of the other things on my list are a little bit harder, require a little bit more sacrifice. Like writing projects, right? Not that it's not fun, not that I don't enjoy writing, but it requires a little bit more discipline. It's not as fun as just playing RuneScape, I guess. I do not have ADHD. I know what I'm saying, like, absolutely sounds like ADHD, but that's not the case. It's almost I don't know, it's almost like the opposite of ADHD, because I can really focus on something and get totally consumed by it, but then as soon as I lose interest in it, I abandon it. Like if I pick up a project, I'll stay up all night and I'll work on it for like 10 hours straight, no problem. Like once I do a writing project, I'll just stay up all night researching and writing and have no problem with that. But then I might lose interest a few days later and go do something else. Whereas I think ADHD is more immediate, I guess. Where people may struggle to sit for 10 hours at a time like I do doing a single task. I think my problem is I'm just interested in too many things. I want to try too many things. So it's hard to divide my attention between all those things. Or stay singularly focused to a single task. The Kangaskhan's not that bad. The bad one's the Chansey, dude. The Chansey's ridiculous in Pokemon Red. I got so lucky in my playthrough. I caught the Chansey on my first try, which is unheard of. I forgot the exact percentages because it's been a while since I looked it up, but I know that Chansey has like a really high chance of running away, really low chance of being caught. And I'm pretty sure, if I'm remembering correctly, on my playthrough, I threw one Safari Ball at a Chansey and caught it, which was absurd. Oh, you got a Chansey too? That's good. I'm trying to think back and remember like what was the hardest Pokemon I had to catch in that game. Nothing's really standing out, honestly. Like the thing I most think of is the Chansey, of course, but I distinctly remember that in my specific playthrough, it was actually easy to catch. It shouldn't have been, but it was. So I don't remember what the hardest Pokemon I caught was in that playthrough. Yeah, I just made it through Ice Cave in Pokemon Crystal, so I'm pretty deep in there. Almost ready to get the last badge in Johto region. I think my Pokedex is like at 120 out of 251, which seems kind of crazy because it feels like I've been playing and recording this for a long time and I'm like not even halfway through the Pokedex. I know those legendary beasts are going to be the biggest pain for the Gen 2. Entei and Raikou, at least in Crystal, the Suicune is a static encounter, but the Entei and Raikou are going to be a pain, I know that. Yeah, I mean, it's the final gym, but it's the final Johto gym, right? There's still the whole Kanto region to do after that, which is essentially a whole nother game, almost. I make it sound dreadful, but it's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it a lot. But it goes back to what I tell you about me having all these different things I want to do. So sometimes my motivation for a game has a limited lifespan, right? Like, I'm really into Pokemon right now. I'm really enjoying recording. And I need to ride that wave, and I need to be furious with my pace for recording, because I know pretty soon that's going to wear off, and I'm going to want to play another game like Diablo 2. So I have to be careful, because it's like if I record one Diablo 2 video, I'm going to completely abandon Pokemon. I don't want that to happen. Muffin, every conversation can seamlessly flow into Pokemon. It's just the way it is. I don't know why, but I don't really have any particular feelings towards many of the Gen 2 Pokemon. Like in Gen 1, I have a lot of favorite Pokemon, I guess. But I'm not really feeling an affinity towards any Gen 2 Pokemon. Some of them are kind of cool, but they're lacking that kind of wow factor that some of the Gen 1 Pokemon have for me. Muffin, I don't know if I have a very good answer to that question, because as a kid growing up, the furthest I made was Gen 2. Like, I've never played a Pokemon game beyond Gen 2, which sounds kind of crazy. So I don't really know what to expect from the other generation, so I don't know, like, what to dread or not dread, right? I did kind of take a sneak peek into Gen 3 to see what it's going to be like. And to be honest with you, there's a little bit of dread there already, because at least from my very basic initial research, it seems like in order to catch the full Pokedex for Gen 3, it's a bit of a nightmare. You have to play like 700 games in order to do it. You have to play like all the Gen 3 versions to get the version exclusive, and then you have to like fully 100% to like GameCube games. And then you have to use those GameCube games to trade certain Pokemon over. So it sounds like a nightmare. It sounds like you have to beat like 6 games just to get the full Pokedex. So we'll see how that goes. I definitely am going to take a big break between Gen 2 and Gen 3 to record some other stuff that's on the list. If I just go straight like Pokemon back to back to back to back between the generations, it'll probably be like a decade before I'm even caught up with just Pokemon, and then I won't have any other games on the channel. I'm I'm actually recording Pokemon Crystal sooner than I intended. I didn't think that I'd be recording it like within a year of finishing Pokemon Red. I thought it would have taken me longer to get to it, but like I said, I got the craving to do it. I got the craving and then I just went for it. Probably similar to the Pokemon Red ones. Sometimes I think I should put more effort into like the thumbnails. I think most of my thumbnails nowadays are okay. I never like raise it to the wow level, but I think they're pretty good. I refuse to do like the clickbait thumbnails, right? I'd rather just have something that looks clean, looks nice, and has like the number on there, like video number 2 or something, just so it looks somewhat organized. I know that's not as like clickable. Maybe not the best marketing. But I refuse to... I don't know, maybe I'm too stubborn. Maybe I'm too stubborn, but I refuse to clickbait my videos with the thumbnail and the title. Like, you'll notice the title to my videos are pretty boring, right? Like Pokemon 100%, Episode 1. They're very like mathematical and organized. Whereas I am sure that I could get a lot more views if I at least attempted to be a little bit clickbaity, you know? Like instead of Pokemon Red 100%, Episode 17, Cerulean Cave, if I titled it, "You won't believe the legendary Pokemon that I found." Yeah, maybe I'd get more views, but I prefer to keep everything kind of clean and organized. I think you're wrong, Muffin. I think the people that are drawn to my videos and are fans and are subscribed, like yourself, appreciate my style. For sure. However, I think most people out there on YouTube don't really care for it. They like more clickbaity, they like more editing, more straight to the action. So there's a little bit of a bias on your side in the sense that the fact that you are attracted to my videos means that you respect the way I do it. But I think a majority of people going for gaming content on YouTube would rather click that clickbaity video as opposed to mine. But like I said, this whole thing is a hobby for me, so growth has never been like the primary motivator. Of course, it's really cool to see growth and see like your subscriber count go up and the video views go up, but that was never the primary reason I did this. Nor is it now. Really? You don't think? I don't know who that first guy is, but Mark Plyer is definitely clickbaity, at least from what I recall. Wasn't his rise through like the jump scare horror games with his thumbnails with always him doing like some kind of like I'm scared face with a clickbaity title? Muffin, it's funny you say that. I'm working on quote-unquote remastering my old playthroughs, where I kind of edit all of the parts into one giant video. Back when I started YouTube, you're not going to believe this. Back when I started YouTube, there was a 10-minute limit on videos. Isn't that crazy? Maybe not 10 minutes, maybe like 15 minutes. There was definitely a time limit on the videos. So my first playthrough was Legend of Zelda for the NES. And you'll notice that none of those videos go beyond like 15 minutes. So at the time, it was just impossible to do things in one giant video. But now, what's the time limit? Like 100 hours or something you can upload a video. So I thought it would be a cool project to go back and get all the playthroughs that I have already done and kind of remaster them into like one big episode and release that. Because I know some people prefer that format. So I've kind of already started that. For example, the Legend of Zelda playthrough, that was the first game I recorded. I've already done the editing for that. So I created a cool little intro where I talk about the game and I talk about the playthrough that I did, and then just splice all the videos back to back to back so that the entire game is in one full video. And then I took note of every event so that I could have like a timestamp for everything. So it takes a lot of work and a lot of time to do that, but hopefully that's something that I'll do for every playthrough I've done. Two minutes to midnight, that's right. Sounds like an apocalypse thing. Midnight's not too bad. When you start getting to like 2 a.m., then it's like, alright, dude, I need to go to bed. Midnight's not bad for a Friday night. I can't believe how slow this is, though, for points. I'm not even halfway to the point goal that I had. No weekend plans. I feel bad about that because I feel like I am kind of addicted to the video games right now. So maybe I need to fight that this weekend. Maybe that's my weekend goal. Weather's been kind of crummy over the last few weeks, but now it's like this week it's been perfect outside. It's been beautiful. And I've been thinking that I should probably plan to do something this weekend outside, go somewhere. But then I was like, no, I want to record Pokemon. I want to stream RuneScape. So I probably won't go anywhere. Which I've come to recognize is totally my addiction speaking. Like, I'm addicted. Like, I should go outside and do something and enjoy the weather. But I'm not doing that because I want to play video games. It's not that easy, dude. You need some luck on your side when it comes to that. You can't just, like, put in the time investment, right? You can't just say, alright, I'm gonna devote 15 hours to going out this weekend and finding a woman. It requires a certain degree of luck. You need to be at the right place at the right time with a woman that's like approachable, you know? And that's kind of beyond your control. But the more you put yourself out there, the more you go out there, the higher your chances of encountering a situation like that. Just saying, luck plays a big role as well. You can't just say, all right, I'm going to go out and meet a woman. It's more like, I'm going to go out and do stuff. And hopefully, if there is a woman who seems approachable, I'll go approach her. But you could very well go out and all you see is a bunch of married couples, no single woman. It's what always makes me laugh about movies. Like, all these movies, it's like some guy goes out at the bar and there's like just this beautiful woman sitting by herself at the bar, just waiting to get hit on. That doesn't happen. No beautiful single woman goes out by herself. That's just fantasy. They're always with friends or with a boyfriend. Beautiful girls do not go out with themselves. And by never, I mean like 99% of the time. Of course, there's always like a really rare exception, but those are really rare exceptions. I've always heard the phrase, this is definitely not original, everybody says this, but that luck is preparation meets opportunity. So for example, I think I am prepared to approach a woman that is approachable and be engaging and entertaining and all that. So I had the preparation part down, but I need the opportunity, right? There needs to be an opportunity for me to execute that preparation. And that's what luck is, I guess. Is when you've prepared for something and you see an opportunity and you take the opportunity. It's that opportunity part that's somewhat out of your control. Just gotta be prepared for it. I think I am a lucky person. I've been very lucky in many regards in my life. Good things generally happen to me. So I have nothing to complain about. That's good, Muffin. Sorry to hear about the divorce, but it sounds like you have a very good attitude and are appreciative of the things you have, and that goes a long way. There is also that kind of self-fulfilling prophecy aspect to luck, where some people just think they're a victim, and everything bad just happens to them. And so that sort of attitude makes it so that they essentially view themselves as an unlucky person, like they're a victim and nothing good can happen to them. As opposed to somebody who has a good attitude, kind of like you're having. You can appreciate the small things and the good things that do happen in your life. And you can even appreciate them as some form of luck, right? So there is an aspect of attitude affecting whether you're quote unquote lucky or not. It's really how you view things. But yeah, just because you view yourself as lucky doesn't also mean that nothing bad ever happens to you, right? There's always challenges. I've had plenty of unlucky things happen to me, but like I said, I do think I'm a very lucky person. I will say though, since I'm recording Pokemon Crystal, when it comes to Pokemon games, I'm very unlucky. I swear it's like every battle, the enemy Pokemon always criticals on me, or their sleep moves always hits on me, or when my Pokemon's confused, it always hurts itself, or when I throw my Pokeballs, it never catches. I'm like super unlucky. I guess in Pokemon Red I wasn't that unlucky, in Pokemon Red I wasn't that unlucky, but in Pokemon Crystal I'm definitely feeling it. I'm getting crushed. Alright, be right back real quick. I'm going to take a quick bathroom break and grab a drink. It's surprising how, like, I don't know what the word is. It's not dry, but like inflamed, I guess. How inflamed your throat gets talking on stream for so long. These streamers don't get enough credit, man. I don't know how these streamers stream for like 8 hours a day talking nonstop. I guess maybe your voice box gets used to it. I don't know. Anyway, be right back.
We travel swiftly. We will aid you as best we may.
Of course, I'm streaming for like 3 hours, and for like the 1 minute I walk away, somebody subscribes. Well, if you're here, Felipe Gomez, welcome. Thanks for the subscription. I definitely do appreciate it. The thing is, the alert is set up to where if anybody subscribes, it pops up the alert. It doesn't have to be just on the stream. So for all we know, this guy could have been watching one of my hundreds of videos randomly and subscribed from that, and then the alert pops up on here. So chances are he or she is not even here. All right, enjoy the track. Yeah, you know, whenever, well, not whenever, but most of the times when I listen to music that has lyrics, I don't even pay attention to the lyrics. I'm usually just paying attention to like the musicality. I guess something you could relate to is like Adam's song from Blink-182. I used to listen to that as a kid all the time, and I always really enjoyed it. And then one day I actually like paid attention to the lyrics, and I was like, oh, all right, this is like kind of dark. Had no idea. That's classic, like, punk rock, Blink-182 themes. Ex-girlfriends and sadness. It's like a must if you want to be a punk rock band. You have to be, like, mildly emo about an ex. Welcome back. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me too much. Because, yeah, they were so big, I guess, when people my age were in high school, right? So there's a lot of nostalgia associated with Blink 182, so it doesn't surprise me it's like all 30 and 40-year-olds in those videos. Oh, man, you have, like, no idea what MTV was like. I know it's a corny thing to say, and like all the old timers like me say it, but it's like it was actually music videos. Yeah, I remember sometimes scrolling through the channels, and at late night, MTV would essentially just play music videos back to back. Yeah, I remember some Blink 182 music videos on MTV. I remember some like Marilyn Manson ones too. I don't know why that sticks out of my memory. I guess he's just such a bizarre character that it's easy to remember. Oh my god. I must be like really tired. Look at this timing on this. I lost 4 crops. How's my timing this bad? Yeah, TV was fun back in the day, man. It was more simple. There wasn't as many options. You just kind of had to scroll through the channels and see what was on, and some of it was garbage, some of it was gold. But now it's like too many things to choose from. Which sounds like that's a good thing, but there's some negatives to having so many options, I think. It was kind of interesting when the menu was more limited and everybody was kind of ordering from the same menu. Kind of brought unity to people in a way. That doesn't sound weird at all. That's cool that some of the content that you're watching is inspiring to you. Yeah, a lot of cooking stuff does really well in that shorts format. There are a lot of cooking shorts channels, I guess, that make a living from that. Very snappily edited recipes. I tried making shorts for a while as a way to kind of promote my series. So I would take like funny moments from a series and make it into a short. And those actually did well. Like generally my videos will get, I don't know, a few dozen or like 100 views or something. And my shorts were getting a few thousand views, which is good for me. But it took a lot of work to edit them. So I haven't been good about making it. I think I've only made like 3 or 4 shorts. If I had more time, I would definitely do that. The fun for me is actually playing and recording games. I do enjoy editing. I do think it's fun, but it is very time consuming, surprisingly. Yeah, a lot of people do that, right? They'll hire somebody to do some of this back-end stuff, like the shorts editing, or even make their thumbnails and all that kind of stuff. I've considered that for sure, but again, I'm a small channel. I don't really make any money on it. So I don't want it to cost me, you know? Like, this is just a hobby. I don't want it to bleed into my wallet. I was actually spending a lot of money on this channel, admittedly, for kind of unnecessary reasons. So for example, I don't know if you even know this, but I have a website for Renaissance Gaming that I pay every year to keep active. However, I don't even update the website. I don't do anything with it. It's kind of broken because I coded it myself and I'm like not an expert, so it's kind of broken. I don't update it, yet I still pay for it. And then up until very recently, I was paying for the Adobe Suite, so I could have things like Photoshop to make my thumbnails and Premiere Pro to edit the videos, of course. And that's actually super expensive, man. It's paying like almost $60 a month to be able to have that software. So hundreds of dollars a year. So at the end of the day, the channel was costing me money. More recently, like within the last few months, I kind of abandoned the Adobe Suite. Not only because of the cost, but just because of some of their policies as well. Having to use some like really crappy open source software that's nowhere near as good, but at least it's free. Point is, I don't want to be spending too much more money on the channel. I do wonder how much like an editor costs. If I just wanted them to make, I don't know, like a short a week or something, I wonder how much that would cost me. It's also annoying because it's something I can do myself. I just like, I guess would choose not to for the sake of time. I could look into like a better workflow for making shorts, because now with the advancement in AI, it may be just easier. Because the shorts I was doing was just getting the short, the time consuming part was that I was adding captions at the bottom. Because that really resonates in the shorts world. And that takes time, but I'm pretty sure at this point there's like some AI thing that can automatically do that. Nice. Anything interesting? Any interesting recipes? I actually made like I guess you could call it a cooking short once for Instagram, not for Renaissance Gaming, just like for my personal, for my grandma was showing me how to cook some stuff. And I just took some clips of it as a way to kind of document it for myself, but it kind of turned out kind of like a short almost. Some homemade gnocchi. Ah, dang, that does suck. I'm sorry about that. Some of my greatest memories growing up are with my grandparents, and I know not everybody's lucky to have had the opportunity to grow up with their grandparents. That is funny. That is a very Gen Alpha thing. I learned how to cook from shorts, not my grandparents. But yeah, my grandmother is Italian. Just like classic Italian granny. So when she's cooking, I pay attention. That woman knows what she's doing in the kitchen. Dang, that sucks. See, that's another reason why I consider myself very lucky. I have like the perfect family, which is super crazy. Like, we all get along, all the extended family, cousins, aunts, uncles. We've all been very close and always gotten along, and there's barely any divorce in the entire family. And growing up, like, I thought that was just totally normal. I thought like everybody was like that. But obviously you grow up and you realize that, wow, like my family is the total exception. My family being like this quote unquote normal is the exception, and I'm very, very lucky. The normal experience is really some degree of familial dysfunction, unfortunately. So I do count my blessings for my family. It's almost to the point where sometimes when things aren't going my way, I almost think like how having such a great and perfect family was a disadvantage at times, because it kind of set expectations for me. Like, I expect things to be a certain way, especially when it does come to things like relationships and stuff like that. Just because everything's been so rosy and perfect in my family, I kind of expect the world to be like that as well, when clearly it's not. Muffin, I don't know why. I know this is very weird, but I actually go through great lengths to keep the channel as private as I can. That's why I don't do a face cam. That's why I don't really like to talk about my job on the channel or give too many personal details on the channel. So, nobody really knows about my channel, actually. There are 2 people in my life that know about this channel. Can you believe that? Only 2 people? One of them is Zoe, because she obviously helped out in some of the videos. And, I mean, she's an ex-girlfriend, so she's not even, like, fully in my life anymore. And the other person is a friend I've had since middle school, who actually introduced me to games like RuneScape and stuff like that. So 1 friend and 1 ex-girlfriend know about the channel, nobody else. So not Zoe, but I had another girlfriend, and I dated her for what, like... Not only did I date her, but we lived together for like 4 or 5 years. She had no idea, still has no idea I have a channel. So I managed to like keep recording videos and keeping the channel active for a good 4 to 5 years while living with somebody and them not having any idea that I had a gaming channel. Isn't that crazy? I don't know why I'm like so secretive about it. One day somebody will recognize my voice. Who knows? Yeah, nobody's ever asked for like a face reveal or anything. I just brought that up as I don't know, an example of me wanting to keep the channel private. Because even though nobody's really demanding a face reveal, it is basically a fact that channels with like a actual personality in terms of a face and a webcam, they do tend to do better. People are more drawn to clicking those videos. It's more personable, right? It feels like you really get to know the person, and especially for streams. Maybe not so much for videos themselves, but definitely for streaming. So I do think I could have better growth if I did do a face cam, but I really want to keep the channel as anonymous as possible. I'm not like paranoid about it, you know, like if my identity gets revealed, it's not like the end of the world or whatever, but I just want to try to keep it private. Keep it separate, you know? Renaissance gaming is one thing, and my private life is like another thing. You should go to bed if you're bored. It's late. It's almost 1 a.m. Try to fix that sleep schedule. When do you start school again? It's kind of late. Like, most people have already started, right? Most of the people around here started last week, I think. Yeah, that's fair. If you're not tired, you're not tired. Nothing you can do about it. There's nothing I hate more than when I'm trying to be responsible with my bedtime, but I'm not tired and I try to force myself to go to bed and I just end up rolling in bed for like 2 hours. So therefore, it's like I didn't fall asleep. I didn't get any sleep. I just wasted 2 hours. I could have stayed up for those 2 hours doing something productive and then gone to bed instead of just rolled in bed doing nothing. Okay, so you're starting on, I guess, Monday. See, you got to flip that sleep schedule before Monday, though. For sure. I clearly remember when I was in high school, that was the struggle. Was like flipping the sleep schedule back to normal before school started back up again. What I used to do is just stay up all night doing something really fun, like playing a video game. Literally do an all-nighter. I would just stay up all night and then try to go to bed early, I guess the following day, even though it's all one giant day. I cannot do that anymore, though. Not at all. It's so weird, like, all-nighters were such a regular and common part of my life. Through high school and then studying through college, like I would just do all-nighters all the time. It was just so normal. Now I cannot even imagine doing that. Like I just cannot physically. Getting old is real, man. I never thought it would happen to me. I was like, why can't these people stay up? You get to a certain age and it just doesn't work anymore. You just cannot. I mean, if I absolutely had to, of course, but especially like during college, if you're doing something boring, like if you're staying up and doing an all-nighter to stare at a textbook and study, yeah, there's no way I could do that again. I once stayed up for 2 days reading a genetics textbook from cover to cover. I have no idea how. The worst is when you decide you're going to do an all-nighter. You commit to it. You're like, all right. We're going to do an all-nighter tonight. We're going to stay up. It's going to power through. And then you get to like 6 a.m. The sun is starting to creep up. And you realize you screwed up. You're like, oh no, this was a horrible idea. I'm so screwed. And now there's no going back. Like, I can't go to bed now. And you realize how much you screwed up. And your face is like numb and you just like almost drooling on yourself. That's a bad feeling. I don't know if you've ever experienced that. Where you try to do an all-nighter and you realize what a mistake you've made. Yeah, music definitely helps. That's true. I'm kind of getting to that point. Starting to slur my speech a little bit, talking a little bit of nonsense, messing up my words. Eyelids getting a little heavy. Probably do a few more rounds and head off. I might stream tomorrow morning though. I've been kind of doing that recently, where I stay up late on a Friday and then I kind of use RuneScape streaming as an excuse to get up early in the morning on Saturday. I've said this before, but it's kind of hard to get up early on a Saturday if you stayed up late on Friday. If getting up means getting up to do chores or something lame. It's a lot easier to get up after not sleeping that much if you're going to go do something fun, like play RuneScape. Oh, you've been up for a long time then. Man, 65 farming, that's pretty crazy. I haven't really been paying attention to the farming levels. I'm more here for like the points for the rewards, but I guess I got a ton of farming levels. Do you have any idea what you want to do, Muffin? In terms of life, that is. Like, in school, do you like math, science, history? That's fair. I didn't know what I was going to study in college until I actually got there. And I've had some career changes here or there. I think the most important thing is having the courage to change if you're not happy with something. A lot of people pick like a career or something, and they're dogmatic about sticking with it even if they're unhappy. It takes some courage to say, you know what, I tried this, didn't like it, I'm gonna change to something else and go for it. And everyone around you is gonna call you crazy and say, but you invested so much into doing this and now you're just gonna abandon it and do something else. And everybody would try to talk you out of it, but I think that's another lesson I guess I would pass on is don't be afraid to change the trajectory of your life if you're unhappy with where it's going. All that to say is, you're still very young. You don't really need to know exactly what you're going to end up doing. Yeah, I guess you did say that that you're interested in maybe culinary school. Sounds like you're definitely kind of leaning towards these more creative sort of fields, which is cool. Like cooking, writing, songs, maybe drawing and art. All right, let me do 2 more runs here. I'm crashing. I'm crashing for sure. Yeah, I know, right, Muffin? I feel like I've shared a lot about myself over the last few streams. Which is weird, because generally I'm a pretty private person. Like, I generally don't share too much about myself. But I guess it just comes out in natural conversation. Not like I'm purposely trying to hide anything, but I generally just don't talk about stuff. Yeah, it's the last couple streams have been fun for sure. Thanks to your questions and your lines of conversation. And I feel like it's pretty organic, honestly. People are always so stressed about, like, oh, I'm gonna run out of things to talk about, or what do we talk about now? But next thing you know, like, some random thought enters the conversation, and a whole discussion develops around it. Even if we're revisiting some old topics, you know? I have my little homework list here. I have the Blink-182 album. Then I got a couple of anime from Akatsuki. Wrote them down this time. Again, I am definitely not the anime expert, but I would recommend something that is more limited. Just few number of episodes that you can just watch from start to finish, as opposed to like these gigantic saga anime like One Piece. So like the classic one that everybody who watches likes and is pretty short is Death Note. I mean, most people have watched that. Even people who aren't classic anime fans. I think it's what, like 20 episodes, something like that. So it's pretty manageable to get through, and it's just a really good anime. I will not recommend my favorite anime of all time to you, because I gotta be a good role model. You might be a little too young for that one, so I can't officially endorse it to you. It is a little mature. But Death Note, I think, is a great starter anime. Again, mainly because it's a digestible number of episodes, and it's just really well written. It's really good. Yes, yes. I have a very, I know I'm like a jolly, friendly, easygoing person, but I have a very, dark style in terms of my artistic taste. I enjoy stories that are kind of, messed up and disturbing and have dark themes. Oh, look at that. I got the warning from RuneScape. You've been playing for a while. Consider taking a break from your screen. Got that last time, too. Oh, yeah, Mr. Ballin. I was there for his rise, dude. One of my previous jobs, I used to go take my lunch break and eat in the parking lot, and I would just put up a Mr. Ballin video while I was eating. And this was back when he wasn't very popular. He had less than 100,000 subscribers or something like that. And then very quickly, I saw his channel just skyrocket to the moon. Kind of weird. I used to watch a lot of his stuff, but I have not seen one of his videos in a really long time. Now I'll try to pass on some old man wisdom, I guess. I won't beat you up, though. That's also part of, the classic brother relationship, is constantly beating each other up. I think. I never had a brother either, but from what I've observed, yeah, it's weird that this is kind of going the other way, because I feel the same way. I generally like talking to people who are a bit older than me. So it's weird that it's completely the other way around this time. right, 342 points. That's not good. What did I start out at? Like 50? So maybe I got like 300 points from all that? 300 points in what? Almost 4 hours? Dang. I'm gonna need 200 points more, so yeah, maybe another 3 hours stream to get everything I need here, and then I can finally move on. I underestimated how long this would take. That's for sure. But I don't really know what's going on anymore. Like, my brain is shutting down on me. Your boy Renaissance needs to get some sleep, so yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate you hanging out, but I know you'll stay up. I know you got the energy for it. It's just I don't. I'm dying over here. Yeah, have a good night. Have a good weekend. Definitely recommend you try to... I know you enjoy staying up, but try to reverse that sleep schedule before Monday so you don't die in school when you start. First day of high school, man. It's a big deal. It's going to be a good time for you. You want to be fresh for that. You want to have a good night's sleep. You don't want it to be Sunday night, 4 a.m., and you can't fall asleep. That'll be a bad time. But yeah, see you next time, whether it's video or stream. I might stream tomorrow morning. I know you probably wouldn't be here for that, but who knows? I tend not to schedule these. I just kind of log on whenever I feel like it. But anyway, yeah, have a good night. Thanks for hanging out. See you next time.